This is problematic. You must have wanted to watch this video on the assumption that you would see cute pandas. And fear not, there will be cute pandas. But let's talk first. You wanted to see cute pandas, but maybe you're watching these YouTube videos just to avoid that essay that is due on Friday. Or maybe not. In that case, I congratulate you. But the point that I'm trying to make is we have a finite amount of choices we can make. Sure, you have plenty of time to do that essay now, but as you continue to choose to put it off, the time you have to work on it dwindles, and you will soon be forced to stay up the night before to try and write something that is at the very least legible. This is problematic. Now, I'm not here to harp about your time management skills. Trust me, I procrastinate just as much as you do. Instead, I would like to talk about how troublesome it is to keep pandas from going extinct. I think pandas are adorable, but we need to think about how beneficial it is to keep pandas from going extinct. We need to start asking ourselves a very hard question. Are pandas worth saving? To help answer our question, we will examine the Edinburgh Zoo in Scotland. The zoo has a panda exhibit, but the two pandas are not owned by the zoo. The pandas are on a 10-year lease from China, and for each year the zoo has them, they have to pay an annual fee of $1 million. Leasing pandas like this is not out of the ordinary for China. After giving President Nixon and Prime Minister Edward Heath pandas as gifts, China realized the value of pandas and saw an opportunity to make profit. As of now, the zoo has given China $6 million and has spent an additional $12 million on making care of pandas. The Edinburgh Zoo wanted the pandas because they noticed a drop in the amount of visitors, and bringing in an exotic animal would be a remedy to the low turnouts. Another reason why the zoo bought the pandas was to work with the Binfa panda base in China to help increase the population of the giant pandas. The Binfa panda base is a breeding and research facility for pandas. It is also the place where the Edinburgh Zoo got their pandas and the training on how to take care of them. Together, the two conduct research on pandas in an attempt to increase the panda population. The problem with breeding pandas is they have a low sex drive. In most cases, if a panda will not reproduce naturally, they are artificially inseminated. Even if a panda becomes pregnant, they only have 1 or 2 cubs, and the mother only has enough milk to feed one. There have been 5 attempts to make the Edinburgh Zoo pandas mate in the past 6 years, with the last one being an artificial insemination. All attempts were unsuccessful. However, in Binfa's sister location, Wolong, there are panda cubs. At Wolong, they are attempting to integrate pandas back into the wilderness, but the efforts are not as successful as other introduction programs because the first panda to be released was in 2016 and it died within the following year. So with no pandas being released into the wild anytime soon, and with such low numbers of pandas being born, is it worth the cost? The Edinburgh Zoo spent $18 million on 2 pandas that will not reproduce. There are other endangered species, such as New Zealand's Maud Island frogs, which could be saved by relocation. It would only cost $1.5 million. Another point to bring up is how long it will take to bring the pandas back into the wild and have a steady population. Or will that not happen? Will pandas be put on permanent life support? Perhaps the value of pandas is not quantifiable by the cost of keeping them alive, but more of a symbolic reason. I remember a math teacher of mine telling me science, engineering, and mathematics are used to create the world we live in, but the fine arts are what make the world worth living. Like fine arts, pandas are something that make the world living, as Ian Valentine, the man behind the Panda deal, said,
"If we can't look after giant pandas, what can we look after?"
Can we forgive ourselves if we give up on pandas, especially because their downfall was caused by our own destruction of their habitats? Sadly, there is a finite amount of resources in the world. We cannot continue saving pandas like we have at the same time not spending large sums of money. Things like fine arts are fundamental parts of society, but there are more pressing matters. We need to evaluate what needs to be done versus what we want to be done. We all love pandas, but if species that are crucial to entire ecosystems die out, the consequences would be devastating. There is also the problem that if we do decide to continue spending money on pandas, and they go extinct anyways, all those resources would be wasted. I know it sounds heartless, but think about it again. What can you do with $18 million? You could pay for tuition for 1,860 students to attend 4 years of college, prevent New England mud island frogs from going extinct 12 times over, or take care of 2 pandas for 6 years if they don't reproduce. Sadly, we cannot save everything. There are a finite amount of resources in the universe. We must choose some things over others. So are pandas worth saving? Is it worth it to spend millions, if not billions of dollars on a species that can barely reproduce? Although it will be terrible to think of a world without pandas, it will be even worse to realize the ramifications of not helping other vital species. If we reach that point of no return, will the world be okay with knowing we tried to save the species that we wanted, not needed?